My name's Lance Doughty. We're in the Fleece Inn in Hillesley in Gloucestershire. I've lived in the area for 11 years and I was responsible for the operations stream of acquiring the pub. The pub company that owned this pub and a number of others went bankrupt, and that caused quite a bit of consternation. One of the villagers took the initiative to say, let's have a meeting in the pub, and by word of mouth and posters on the lampposts, we were all down here. The place was absolutely heaving, full of people who were really concerned and wanted to do something to save the pub for the village. By that time there were also rumours of other people wanting to buy the pub, probably still to keep it as a pub, but also to do various things such as building housing on the land. So you lose the car park, you might lose the garden, and then you lose the viability of a country pub. So we were pretty concerned about that. There was talk about, if only there was a sugar daddy. But there were a few of us who felt, whilst we wouldn't want to be the sugar daddies or the white knights, what we might want to do is put up the money for a village bid, so that we would underwrite it and then build a consortium of interest around it. So I called a meeting in my house with the people who had been expressing that interest. And over a series of meetings, it coalesced down to a group of 4 initial families, later joined by a 5th. And it's those 5 families that carried things forward for the initial, probably sort of 4 or 5 months.
My name's Tony Shepherd. I run a local engineering business. I didn't get involved in this until a little bit later than Lance and the other 3 families who did it. They got involved. They started, getting really active about a year ago now. We were interested in what was going to happen to the pub, and we thought that we might buy it ourselves at one time. But there was no way which I was going to go against the wishes of the village if they decided to do what they have done. And when I came in, I got to know what was going on straight away, and I made it quite clear that I was prepared to match the contributions of the other people like Lance, and so I joined that group then, effectively.
I'm Jade Canning and I'm the manager of the Fleece Inn. Working for a community-owned pub is completely different because your owners as such are around, more hands-on. It's not emails flying here and there. You get people in chatting to you. There's lots of meetings and feedback, so you get that immediate feedback at all times. And a lot of your customers are the people that are running this business, so it's kind of like almost like a big family kind of feel in a way. There's so many different characters, but I think that everyone seems to gel really well. I just think it's just a nice, warm, supportive feel to it, as opposed to even corporate kind of branding. I think you get a lot more scope to kind of do what you want to do, so which is great. So as a manager, it's exciting, and they let me source my own ales, and if things don't work, it's fine. If things work, it's brilliant. We're all just trying the best we can, really, and it's kind of really much working together, which is great. It was literally hit the ground running. It was from the first night. It was just so busy from opening till close. So many people dining. The weather was beautiful, and obviously we've got a lovely outside area. So literally we are in a complete spin for at least the first 6 weeks, which was great. I mean, we expected a good start, but I think the amount of volume that we had in here, I think, surprised everybody.
As you can imagine, when we were setting out, fairly naively, we were scrabbling around all over the place to find where we could get help from. And one of our investors knew Anthony Miller, who is a regional director of one part of Pub is the Hub, and they've been extremely helpful. Pub is the Hub operates a regional model throughout the country, and so there's always help available locally. In our case, we had a contact already made with Anthony, and so it made sense to maintain that relationship, and that was hugely helpful. But certainly, they have people in every part of the country, and my experience of speaking to other people is that they're always there and can be enormously helpful.
Interestingly enough, it wasn't the EIS scheme that decided us to go ahead with this project. We were much more enthusiastic about it when we discovered that our contributions could be subject to tax relief. And it is actually a very powerful weapon for the policy which we followed, because I think most of the community interest ones, that facility is not available. And the fact that you can get back tax relief in the region of 30% of your contribution makes it a much more attractive proposition from everyone's point of view, but certainly from the major investors' point of view.
We were very keen to make sure our Sunday nights, which are traditionally quiet evenings in a pub like this, weren't quiet and that we had plenty of people in. And so a number of us volunteered to run events. So every single Sunday night we have an event. So we have a quiz every other week. So one chap runs those. We have live music, acoustic evenings, jam sessions basically, and we have a guy who organises those for us once a month. And once a month, I organise a vinyl night where people bring along their LPs, and we had one last Sunday, and it was absolutely packed. So those have been hugely popular, and they bring in sort of 20 to 30 people minimum every single Sunday night that we wouldn't otherwise have in the pub.
There's been an awful lot of work that's been put into this business, but I just think it shows that when enough of you get together, you don't have to have ever ran a pub before, but enough of you want something so much that it can work, and it can work very well. And you know, the people that, you know, the shareholders that bought this place, you know, can quite proudly stand alongside a lot of big companies and say, you know what, we're doing it and we're actually doing it better. Because, and it, you know, I know most people come in here and leave with a smile on face because it's got a great atmosphere to it, and the people in it want to be here, and it's nice that they're here and we're getting other people here. And if you can encourage people to do the same thing and not lose these lovely little pubs, then I think it's a, you know, it's a great thing that we need to do, and not, you know, lose everything to being knocked down and housing and things. You know, these villages, they have nothing apart from their pub, a shop. You know, this is the hub of the community. This is where people meet, and it's important not to lose that, I think.